The EFF has slammed what it says are unwarranted attacks against KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The police watchdog, the IPID, is investigating him for allegedly trying to interfere with the arrest of a top prison official who is said to be peddling drugs. Now, the EFF Member of Parliament and Portfolio Committee member of the police in Parliament, Mazwi, Blose, joins us tonight to discuss their strongly worded statement. Mr. Blose, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. You say at the start of your statement that these are malicious and coordinated attacks against General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Let's back up what you are saying there. What do you base this on?
No, thanks, Tolu. Thanks for having us. Greetings to you and the listeners of Newzroom. Look, the General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi actually was interviewed in late January this year by Newzroom or by a media house, and that is where he publicly, for the first time, went in public and spoke about this smear campaign against him and these attacks that are coming within the police force, that people are wanting to get rid of him. So as the Portfolio Committee on Transport in Parliament, we did summon him and he did appear before the committee to explain these utterances on the 5th of March. It was 5th of March or 6th of March, if I'm not mistaken, where then he explained himself and the coordinated attacks as a smear campaign against him, and where all these allegations started, including this investigation that is against him now. He did explain where this thing starts from, and it's a case that backdates late last year, January, and it's only surfacing now because of the fights that he's been doing in KZN against the police, against the crimes, and those who benefit from the crimes that are happening in KwaZulu-Natal. So, and in the Portfolio Committee, when he appeared, he did mention the people who are involved, close associates of the minister, in the presence of the minister. And the minister never once, disregarded his claims as false or malicious. He was there in the Portfolio Committee, he kept quiet. So we take what the general is telling us as fact, because he has never sugarcoated it. He's never went behind anyone's back, but he has outspoken about this smear campaign against his name. And today we see it coming to light, as he has told us.
I'd like for us to separate two things here, Mr. Blose. The one are the operational matters of the police in KZN, and then we'll talk politics a little later. So let's start with what the Independent Police Investigative Directorate is saying here, and that is that they are concerned about the number of suspected criminals who are dying at the hands of police officers in KwaZulu-Natal. Are you not equally concerned that, yes, these are suspected criminals, but instead of them being taken to court, they seem to be dying or killed by the police? Isn't that a legitimate concern?
No, actually, we must be able to analyze that in context of KwaZulu-Natal, because the crime levels that are happening in KwaZulu-Natal are of a very serious concerns, and including the cash in transit heist, people who have been killed on the daily basis there, Umlazi and Inanda murder rates are at extreme high levels. So the criminals of KwaZulu-Natal are highly armed, and for them to be apprehended, they respond to the police with fire. And when the police respond back in their defense, then some casualties are going to be there. But you cannot then isolate, the crime levels of KwaZulu-Natal and the level in which these criminals are dying, or these suspected criminals are dying. Because if indeed they were not guilty, I do not suspect that the police can just go in to arrest a suspected criminal and just shoot them, kill it, if they were not responding to fire. So we ought to look at the context in terms of everything that is happening. And also, why would we want to place the dying of these suspects on the general? Why are we not probing an investigation to find out what is the cause of these suspected criminals being killed? Why must we just go for the head of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and not want to get to the source of the problem? So KwaZulu-Natal is a crime-ridden province, and we ought to analyze it in that context.
All right. And I'm glad that you raised the matter about why it is that it's the general that gets blamed for the actions of police officers. Well, the buck stops with him. He is the head of the police in the province. But let's take a case that is actually topical right now. Suspects, these are people that the police say are possible or alleged extortionists in KwaMashu. They were killed last week at the hands of the police because it is alleged by the police that they started firing at police officers. And then video footage emerges that clearly displays these people who were on the floor and were being told by the police, at least from what you see in the video, to lie down. And then the people are saying, especially family members are saying, but these people don't look like they meant any harm against the police. And yet here we are today talking about them having been killed because of a shootout between them and the police. Isn't that a legitimate concern, particularly from those who lost family members?
No, look, Xoli, for you as a media outlet, I would understand why you would rely on media or on video footage that is circulating through social media. For us as politicians or as parliamentarians, we ought to be more responsible than that, because we cannot rely on just a media or in just a video clip that we do not know the source of it. And in terms of the way the industrial revolution that we are living in now with AI and everything else, we don't know the source of that video. We don't know the authenticity of that video. So, and I'm not wanting to dismiss that, but what I'm saying is that if those concerns are being raised, then what you do, you ought to go and establish the facts in terms of what has happened. You even summon the police commissioner, because it's one of the things that we have even said in the portfolio committee, that the police commissioner must be able to come back and explain himself on all these allegations that are coming back, so that we establish the facts around these matters. Now, we can't just take a video footage circulating on X and then we take that as factual and want to blame the police commissioner on that. No, it cannot happen like that. But all I'm saying, Xoli, is that the context of the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the high levels of crime and the high levels of murder, the cash in transit highs that are happening in that province are out to be investigated. And we ought to see the impacts that the general has been having on this in terms of apprehending these criminals, in terms of reducing these crimes. And now you can see that there was even a video footage that emerged now, and we are not talking about it, where police officers were complicit in hijacking, a money vehicle. And you are not talking about that. And that is exactly what we are talking about, that there are police officials who are highly involved in these criminals cases. There are guns that are illegal firearms that are finding themselves in criminals. We're not asking the question, how are these guns finding themselves back into the criminals when they've been apprehended by the police? So it's all of that in context that we need to look at it in that way, and then establish why then do they want the police commissioner out of the province of KwaZulu-Natal when he's been doing a very good job. And the entire country has been saying that if you want to see how to deal with crime, look at KZN, look at the General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, how he's dealing with crime in KwaZulu-Natal. So he's been a beacon of hope in this country, and it's very surprising for us why they want to get rid of him.
Yeah. Let's talk politics then. The former head of the Westville prison, Nelly Ndlovu, there was an attempt to arrest her, and it is alleged that General Mkhwanazi intervened, and therefore this was seen as interference. That matter then goes to the IPID, and the IPID, at first, it would appear, it put out a statement saying that there was a complaint here of alleged interference on the part of Mkhwanazi. But then they later come back to say, actually, we made a mistake. It was not the police minister who lodged this complaint against Mkhwanazi. It was, in fact, quote unquote, an anonymous source. So you see this, though, as a clear attempt by the Minister of Police to essentially be part of this smear campaign against Mkhwanazi. Explain that to us. How is the police minister involved?
No, Xoli, obviously someone within IPID is a very responsible citizen who is very honest, who then took out a statement honestly, not understanding the consequences of what they're doing. And they would have mentioned the minister by name in terms of that tip-off that they would have given against the general of KZN. Now, it's such a huge error. Only you should ask yourself what kind of an error that IPID would make an error and mention a minister by name that he has given them a tip-off and actually take that out to a media, only to later on come back and say that error for us is really something that is out of the ordinary. So and there's never smoke without fire. But that is one. But two, this case that is supposedly that they are stating that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi involved himself in, he explained this to us in the portfolio committee. So say that he had concerns against the evidence that this former correctional services head was being arrested on. And up until today, there hasn't been any charges leveled against this person, which then, ventilates what the general was saying. So say that there are no charges against this person because they were saying that they found something that looks like drugs in his bin, which was not even in his house or outside of the house of this head of correctional services. And up until to date, there hasn't been arrest that has been done. There hasn't been any formal charges that was being made. The only thing that the general was stating at that time, and this is what he told us in the portfolio committee, was that he's concerned that if we make an unlawful arrest, we are opening the police services to litigation. And we must make sure that whatever we have found as evidence, we must go and test it and go and find out if this case can be successful if we take it to trial. Yeah. And they never came back with that. And now they are using that to smear a campaign against him.
Is it not prudent, particularly from yourself as a member of the Portfolio Committee on Police in Parliament, to go straight to the Minister of Police and say, why haven't you issued a statement to say, my name has been used in a manner that I do not appreciate. I therefore am distancing myself here, instead of just keeping quiet and allowing, I suppose, the IPID to say, this was an error, we made a mistake, we used the police minister's name in a matter that he wasn't involved in. Do you not think it's prudent to directly go to the minister and say, are you involved in some kind of smear campaign against Mkhwanazi?
No, Polly, it's just unfortunate that after the statement by IPID was issued, we haven't had a sitting in the portfolio committee with the minister. But before that, in that sitting where General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was present, General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi mentioned the minister by name in his presence. And he never disputed any of these claims. He even mentioned that there was a close associate called Brown Mokgotsi or something, who was a close associate of the minister, who travels with the minister, who would have SMS'd General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi and told him about this smear campaign against him. There was a whole lot of allegations that the general made, or that he informed the portfolio committee about, that this smear campaign about him, where does it start, where it is, and what is happening. The minister never uttered a word against it. He was given an opportunity by the portfolio chair, and he never said anything. He never chosen to respond. So we can't make him talk. If he doesn't want to go out in public and dismiss all these claims as false and all of that, we can't make him talk. But we give him the opportunity. He's there with us in the portfolio committee. He knows where to find out. He can issue, a ministerial statement. He can do anything. He's got a communications department. If he chooses not to speak, nobody can make him speak. It's not our responsibility to go and tell him that he must speak against these allegations. So long as he's not disputing these allegations, we take them as true up until he comes up and says that he knows nothing about them.
Let's move on then. Would like to ask you a matter that broke in the last hour, and that is the Kill the Boer song. There was an appeal by the AfriForum group, and that appeal has since been denied. Are you able to give us a reaction on the denial of that appeal to the AfriForum, which I suppose comes across as a victory for you once again as the EFF?
No, look, Xoli, South Africa is a constitutional democracy. The courts of this country are what hold everyone accountable. So whenever there's disputes amongst any persons, we go to court to resolve those disputes so that the courts can tell us and interpret the constitution correctly for us. So we had won that case against AfriForum. They felt that they needed to take it to the Constitutional Court. And the Constitutional Court is not even interested in listening to that matter because they are telling them that this case has got no prospects of success. So all of these people who have been now, mobilizing the West and going across the country and mobilizing international communities to come and intervene in South Africa because there are farm murders, there are farm killings and all of that. Today, they have been proven that those are blatant lies. And the courts of this country are saying there's no such things called farm killings or anything else. Whereas the kill the Boer, kill the farmer song is not even a contributing factor to any of those things. So the constitutional courts hold the views of the EFF correct. And we've been saying that this kill the Boer, kill the farmer song is not an EFF song. We inherited this song from the struggle. It's a song that was representing, the fight against imperialism, the fight against apartheid in this country. And the EFF has inherited that song and will continue to chant that song up until we realize the economic struggles and liberations for the people of South Africa. So the people of AfriForum and Solidarity, they can go cry. In fact, they must just go to America because they've got free pass there. But the courts of this country have reigned supreme once again, and they've held the views of the EFF correct that the kill the Boer, kill the farmer song has no bearing in terms of this so-called farm murders and farm killings in this country.
Mazwi Blose, Member of Parliament, thank you very much for your time speaking to us about a statement that they issued saying that the KZN Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, is being targeted. And just a clarity there, it was at the Supreme Court of Appeal that this appeal was being made by the AfriForum. This is now relating to the last conversation. And it is at the SCA that this appeal attempt was denied.